This session is going to be slightly longer than usual, and I'll be introducing you to the use of static files, which is just your ordinary indexes or HTML or CSS or JavaScript. Now, how do we include that middleware? I'll show you how we use middlewares here. The first step was to have your express initialized here, like that. And then we had to use the function use or the method use. We'll also do something similar so that we can also include our static files and use them. So we shall use express, and we'll declare that we want it to be static, and voila. Right, so the next time that we do the following, refreshing, we won't see anything cool yet, but let's create a new folder or directory. I reckon I'll do that from the command line. The folder has to be called public, and inside the public folder we are going to quickly create a new HTML file, and let's try to refresh, and yeah, nothing fancy yet. So we are going to now go in here and we're going to open it up, and using the Emmet plugin quickly set up something. So let's say this is going to be the to-do list application, and when we maybe put some bit of flesh to it, and refresh, there it is. Okay, now this is going to be our entry point for our application, and in here is where we shall be onboarding everything. For now, we shall get rid of this piece of code, the get of the root, which is no longer necessary for us. So we save that there after getting rid of it. And now we're going to try to use a bunch of things or tools like Bower. The first thing, in our static folder, we decide whether we should be storing our front-end stuff really close to each other or separating. So for now, let's install something called Bootstrap with Bower. And the beauty with Bootstrap is it will come with jQuery. It will also come with a bunch of style sheets and a bunch of libraries that you need to use. And that will take a while. Completed. All right, now when we go in here, you'll see that in your public folder, there's a new folder called Bower-components with Bootstrap and jQuery. And we can look at that, right? Inside the distribution, that's where you'll find the jQuery min. And then when you open here, you go in here, you'll find JavaScript, you'll find CSS, and so on. So let's add that there. And it's good practice to keep your JavaScript source files a little bit at the bottom. So we'll go in there and we'll put in the minified version, and we'll have our source there. We'll put in a bit of Bootstrap as well. Here we'll put the JavaScript minified version as well. And right before the head closes, we are going to put the link style sheets, and they are also found within Bower. So we'll have our Bootstrap, distribution, CSS, and we will put the minified version of Bootstrap. And when we save and refresh, it looks a little bit different. Now, you might want to maybe look at a quick template. So let's see how Bootstrap works. Bootstrap is just CSS that has a bunch of customizations that have already been pre-made for you, and very, very handy stuff here. Okay, I want to copy a template that we can use for working with. So there are some examples and there are some templates that we could use. I suppose let's check this out and see. All right, so which one seems nicer? I reckon this looks a bit pretty, so let's go in there and let us figure out how to use it. And one way of doing that is by going into your inspect element and I suppose editing everything here. Gives us all the content. So what we shall do is, for starters, we are going to copy everything and we're going to put that in our index.html and we'll do a little bit of adjustments so that it is not doing something wrong. And there won't be a fav icon and no author for now. And the title will go back to Bootstrap, to-do list. And style sheets, we'll have to repeat that. Bar, Bootstrap, distribution, CSS, and this Bootstrap main. We can also get rid of that other one. Okay. One small thing we didn't get was some custom styles for the template, the Jumbotron, narrow, and whatever. For that, we shall create another special folder called CSS that we are going to put here. CSS, and what we'll do is we'll run over to the sources, go in here, let's see, click Jumbotron narrow, copy everything here. And this is pretty much how you work with templates. You don't want to find yourself writing so much code from scratch. So we'll call that file Jumbotron narrow.css. And in there we'll paste that and just confirm that it has no other dependencies. All right, seems perfect. Okay, that fixes that. The next thing is this weird warning, which we shall for now comment out. Right. Let's go to the bottom and make sure that our style sheets, our scripts, the JavaScript is being added. So we'll do that, power components, jQuery, distribution, and the jQuery main. And finally, we are going to do the source, power components, bootstrap, and distribution, JS, and finally the main version. Okay, when we do refresh our to-do list app, we should say something like that, right? Pretty cool. And let's just adjust a bunch of things, like change the project name to-do list, and refresh. There's that. We'll leave this intact, and maybe we'll change a little bit of our heading. Say to-do list, and get rid of that lorem ipsum text. Maybe write something like, get your tasks done on time. And when we refresh, we'll see some nice marketing right there. Okay, I reckon we can use this part here to put our to-do lists and a bunch of things there. And the styling can really be up to you, so you do not need to worry so much about that. Okay, we will get rid of that column, right? There are two columns at the moment. So let's see. We'll have one single column, and this style, I'll encourage you to dig deep into the Bootstrap framework. We'll use a style called 12, which takes everything, and we'll get rid of these here. rid of them up until there. And yeah, I think we'll change this to the to-do list company, to-do list corp, and we'll put that as 2015. Right. So the to-do list comes here, and when you refresh, you see some funky stuff going on here. All right, now we are going to introduce a form. So that's how we collect data from something. And because we've already built out the API, we basically need to start working with a form. And we'll keep it simple. We'll have just one form, and in there we'll have input of text, placeholder. In placeholder we'll have something like, what do you want to do? When you refresh, there it is. Doesn't look user friendly, so let's just say to do item, right? And when you refresh, that's it, a bit friendlier. And by its side we shall put a button and say add. When we refresh, okay, we might not get a little bit fancier than that, but you might also want to maybe do a bit of styling. So there's some classes that Bootstrap provides, like button primary class, that can make it a bit blue. And yeah, for now the thing does nothing, right? So step one, we need to create yet another JavaScript file to handle these custom JavaScript. Bar components already does have a bunch of things, but you don't want to pollute it, so you keep it right there. And here, let's also have a conveniently named file. Let's call it something like, app.js, although we do have it somewhere else. But this is the app.js that's found in here. It won't affect your node code. It will just stay here. Okay. In there, we need to make sure that the document is ready or fully loaded before it actually starts to work. And we'll test that shortly with just a simple log. When we go into your console here and we refresh, ideally we should get that it works here, but we haven't yet hooked it up to the index. So let's head over to the index and hook it up. We'll hook it up after every other dependency that we may need to use. So we'll have that, and then we'll go in here and hook it up. When we do refresh, we'll get that log here. Okay. Now, what are we going to do with this form? Given that it's a simple form, we might not put things like IDs or classes here, but in case you have a situation where there's more than one form, that will be a problem. Okay, so let's go to our app.js, and what we shall do is we shall put a listener on the form, and we'll listen to submit events happening. So we might keep this as that. 1 second. It takes in a callback function. Callback function may take in the event, and then this is what will happen. We'll prevent the default occurrence from happening. When we refresh and click that, nothing should happen, right? Although we could log it and see that it's actually working. You can say clicked button on form, and when we save and refresh and open up our console, scroll there and click, the button will be clicked, and so on. But we need to be able to get data here, the item that we shall then later on send. So we'll store that item to do item, and then we'll make sure that is working. So we log it, We'll get rid of the other logs. You notice that lots of logging happens. The reason is you want to be certain that certain input or output is expected. So we'll go in here. Say I wanted to buy fruits, right? And I click add. That's it. So it seems our code here is right. It basically says look for input that is of type text. However, this is I have to warn you that if you have more than one input of type text, it could get a bit pretty dirty. So you might also want to narrow or consider use of IDs or CSS classes for your selections. Okay. Right. After we've gotten the item, we maybe want to test to see that that item is, first of all, not empty. And that's when we want to do something called a post request. And we'll do that like that. Because it's a relative post, we are all sending them to items. We'll do something like that. All right, let's take a look at the other app.js. So for it, it's just waiting for items, and then it's going to, it's going to be a put, so post, sorry. It's just waiting for item with a payload called name, and it should just work. So in here, we can serialize an object that we shall then send, and we'll be sending to do item. And we'll have a done callback. We won't add a fail, but this one just prints out or logs our data. We want to see that what's happening is successful, right? Okay, so let's save and let's add fruits. We click add, we get a response, fruits, which has an ID of 4. And at the moment, we are not displaying the fruits anywhere, but we could do that literally. So let's go ahead and let's provide placeholders for a template. So down here, I'm going to separate it with a line break. And in that line break, which you'll see down here, we're going to be having to-do lists items, right? And we'll give this something like that, to-do list items. Just a simple ID, and we'll just be appending on here. So what will happen is the moment we get our data back, we have to do something with it, right? We maybe have to get the to-do list items by its ID and just append in the string form list items. And for now, we'll just do something like data.main, just be certainly using that very thing. Okay, let's keep adding a bunch of stuff and having them display there. So we'll have fruits down here. We'll have apples. We'll have the kids from school, etc. You notice that we still have that, so we need to wipe it out to make it clean. And the way we do that is, after this has been successfully posted, we'll just get this here. We'll copy it, Ctrl+C, Command+C, and we'll just give it empty values. So let's test that again. Apples, oranges, and so on. All right, now we're about done posting items, and this gets all saved up in your server, which is being run up here by Node. Okay, now we need to also figure out a way to delete the apples that we don't need, and we'll employ a bunch of techniques. Our data gets returned with an ID, and we can use that ID to mark our items or to do certain things to our items. For example, I could mark this thing here with an ID that is special to it. I will use lowercase, and we'll go here and we'll split it. You have to be very careful with this activity here. There could be several duplicates that get shown. So in here we'll have a data ID that gets returned to us. And let me show you what that looks like. When we add an orange here, after refreshing, and we go and right click and see that orange, you notice that it has an ID of 4 here, right? And this, for example, will allow us to maybe design callbacks for deleting or, work like that. Okay, now we might want to adjust our real estate here, and let's make it go to the new line for easy reading or readability. Okay, let's see, I'll keep that here. But I'll have this start a new line down there. Then might need a new line here. Okay, this is all being done for readability because we'll need to do a bunch of things. So in here, I'm going to introduce an href tag with the words delete, and let's see what that looks like. Fruits. See, that does nothing, right, at the moment. So in practical sense, you'll probably have maybe an icon that makes it look like something special, but we'll use words here for now. Right, delete, and later on we want to add edit, right? So that we can be able to edit, or at least some funky stuff. So if you want to delete this, we are ideally going to be sending a post request, an AJAX request of a method type delete. And you'll see that in a second. So let's give delete maybe a class called delete. And every time we add deletes, we shall add a click listener to that delete button. So let's do that. Let's go in here. Let's look for a class of delete, and we'll use the on operator. And every time it gets clicked, and we'll prevent the default event from happening first, and we'll log for now. Delete it. Put some semicolons here, and see, let's do business. Let's refresh, and let's add oranges. Okay, when we click that, nothing happens. It doesn't refresh, but it prints out deleted here. And ideally at this stage, we want to kind of know what we're deleting. So I'm going to talk about data attributes. In fact, what we could do is we'll keep this ID here, but we're going to add something else as well. So in here, we are going to split it and add like that. Okay, and in there, I reckon we're going to add that to make it nicer. So we'll add a data attribute, and let's call it item ID, and equals right there. So just so that we can see what we're adding, we'll just split it up. And I'll just warn you, it takes quite a bit of practice to be able to make sure that the left quotations match the right quotations. And this one is a little bit interesting because we want to nest this data ID attribute within quotes. So let's save that. And let's refresh and see. So we are missing something in line 9. We're missing a plus. Refresh, no bugs. Let's add oranges. Let's go in here, spec element, and you notice that there's something called data-item-id, right? If you want to see what that looks like, we can maybe query this item by its ID, which happens to be a 3, and you'll see I was wrong about that, so it's probably a 4. Let's change that to 4. Let's clear that, change that to 4, and we can get its data. Its data is to do, it was to do item. Let's look again, item-id. So what we'll do is have item-id, and that gets us an ID. And let's see, what type of ID is it? It is a number. Okay, it gets stored as a number, and that's the number we need to be able to get to send a request and basically delete the item from the database or from that thing. But when we click here, we have no way of knowing about the list item. And one way of getting to know the item is we'll maybe store it in an ID, and there's a special keyword called this. That means, in this case, the anchor tag will get its parent, and let's log and see what ID looks like at the moment, so that you know where we're going at. So when we refresh, and when we add an item, oranges, when we click delete, see, the parent seems to be a list item, the whole item. So this is the use of the hierarchy of jQuery. So we'll put in data, and then we will say that we want to get the item-id, and right, when we log that, we shall have something interesting happening. So we go in here, we click that, we click delete, prints out the ID, and that's what we shall use to delete something. So we'll have an Ajax call, and Ajax also has its done function as well. And I reckon it could be done with success. Okay, we'll stick with success. It has data as output. We shall log that data. Right. And in here, we shall enter and add an object, a JavaScript object. The JavaScript object has properties and values. And let's open up docs and take a look at them. 1 second. I have the docs open, and the docs will show you a bunch of things. You need to provide a URL in some cases. For us, it's going to be slightly different, so I'm looking for it. We need a URL, the done function will be needed. Done, yeah. And what else might we need? We might need a payload of some kind. Right, this is the one I'm looking for here, where we know the method we're sending it to, and we have data that we want to send to. So here, what we shall do is we shall look at app.js and take a look at its delete code. So delete expects a few things. It just needs parameters sent, and that's what we shall be sending it. When you go into app.js of the public, we shall define the method here as delete. the URL as /items /ID, which happens to be that, and the data will be an ID of ID. Or in our case, you might not even send any data because you don't need to, we're deleting. All right, and yeah, let's see if it's gonna work. Let's save, refresh. Let's add oranges. Click that. Seems to work. So the length from before was 4, now it's 3. Yeah, and yep. When we do try to get all our items, we see that they are still shown as available. So we kind of need to delete or remove that list item the moment it's removed. So let's do that. This, we get a parent, and we'll use JavaScript to remove. Now this removes the element after successfully deleting it, and we can just maybe alert, say successfully deleted entry, and then we can get rid of our log because we won't be needing it at the moment. So let's refresh and let's add oranges. Let's delete oranges. Successfully deleted entry, and for now it seems to be wrong. Why? Well, I just noticed an anomaly, and this tends to happen because this might be a bit different. So let's first log this and see what this looks like in reality. And let's add a bunch of stuff. Oranges. Let's delete. Okay, this is actually not very helpful. It's not exactly the list item. So this is where we need to use another little hack. It's called getting a copy of the current this, like that, and then doing something like this. So what we'll do is I'll save it in a variable, and what I'll do then is say, hey, get me that cell, and delete it. Okay, or to remove it, we'll see shortly. Let's refresh. Let's add oranges. Let's click delete. Notice that it disappeared, right? You don't need to keep things that have been deleted.